The Galactic Council had declared the Vrakan species too dangerous to exist. Their homeworld burned under orbital bombardment, and the survivors were hunted across star systems like vermin. When Captain Liana Cross found the cub shivering in the cargo hold of an abandoned freighter near the Terminus Nebula, every regulation, every law, every shred of common sense told her to eliminate it. She didn't. The creature was no larger than a terrier, its obsidian scales crusted with dried blood that wasn't its own. 4 amber eyes tracked her movements with predatory precision, even as its small frame trembled with hypothermia. The Vrakan were apex predators, engineered by some forgotten civilization to be perfect killers. They possessed reflexes that put even the enhanced Draxian warriors to shame, claws that could rend through starship hulls, and an intelligence that made them terrifyingly efficient hunters. Cross knelt slowly, removing her thermal jacket. The cub hissed, displaying rows of crystalline teeth. She ignored the warning, wrapping the jacket around its shaking body. "Easy there, little one," she whispered. "You're safe now." The cub she named Korvac didn't trust her for weeks. He would snap at her fingers when she brought food, would shrink into corners whenever she entered her quarters aboard the merchant vessel Wandering Star. But Cross was patient. She'd been an orphan herself once, abandoned on the harsh mining colonies of Kepler 442b. She recognized that look in Korvac's eyes, the desperate need to survive, tempered by the absolute certainty that the universe wanted you dead. Slowly, something remarkable happened. The cub began to follow her around the ship. He'd watch with intense curiosity as she performed maintenance, his head tilting at impossible angles as he absorbed every detail. When pirates attacked near the Helion Passage, the 6-month-old Korvac threw himself between Cross and an armed boarder, his child-sized claws finding the vulnerable seam in the pirate's armor with surgical precision. Cross held him afterward as he shook, not from fear but from the adrenaline coursing through his predatory frame. "You didn't have to do that," she told him. Korvac's response, filtered through the translation collar she'd fashioned, was simple. Pack protects pack. Word spread through the space lanes about the human captain and her Vrakan companion. Some called her insane. Others branded her a criminal for harboring a genocided species. The Galactic Council issued warrants for her arrest. She ignored them all, continuing her trade routes through the frontier territories where Council authority meant little. Korvac grew. By his 3rd year, he stood 7 feet tall, his scales having deepened to a midnight blue that seemed to absorb light. His 4 eyes could track multiple targets simultaneously, and his reflexes had developed to the point where he could snatch railgun projectiles from the air. But what made the Empire whisper wasn't his physical prowess, it was his mind. Cross had educated him. She'd taught him languages, mathematics, philosophy, and human history. She'd read him Earth's ancient stories, tales of honor, sacrifice, and redemption. Korvac absorbed it all with a hunger that transcended his species' predatory nature. He began to question the very purpose his kind had been engineered for. "What if we were meant for something more than killing?" he asked her one night as they sat in the observation deck, watching a nebula paint the void in purple and gold. Cross smiled. "I think you already are something more." The turning point came during the siege of Outpost Gamma 7. The Krellian swarm, a hive-mind species of insectoid warriors, had overwhelmed the station's defenses. 3,000 colonists, humans, Draxians, Tellurians, and others, were trapped inside awaiting execution. The Council fleet was 3 days away. The colonists had hours. Cross received their distress signal. Korvac stood beside her on the bridge, now her first mate and partner. "It's a death trap," she said, her voice heavy. "We'd never make it out." Korvac's response was to begin calculating attack vectors. "Then we make sure the colonists do." They went in alone. The Wandering Star, a simple merchant vessel against 10,000 Krellian warriors. It should have been a massacre. It was, just not the one anyone expected. Korvac fought like his species was born to fight, but with a crucial difference. He didn't kill for the joy of it. He fought with purpose, with strategy, and most unnervingly for the Krellians, with mercy. He disabled rather than destroyed when possible. He created corridors of escape for civilians. He drew the swarm's attention to himself, allowing Cross to evacuate transport after transport. When the Council fleet finally arrived, they found the station battered but intact, its colonists saved. They found Captain Cross wounded but alive, her ship held together by emergency patches. And they found Korvac standing in the station's central atrium, surrounded by deactivated Krellian drones, his body covered in wounds that would have killed any other being 3 times over. The council wanted to arrest them both. The colonists wouldn't allow it. 3,000 voices rose in protest. 3,000 beings who owed their lives to a human and the monster she'd refused to abandon. The charges were quietly dropped. Korvac was granted provisional citizenship, the first of his kind to receive such status. But he and Cross didn't stay to bask in recognition. They returned to the frontier, to the forgotten edges of space where others like that small shivering cub might need someone to show them they could be more than weapons. Decades later, the Galactic Empire still whispers about them. About the human captain who saw potential in a forsaken predator cub. About Korvac, the Vraken who chose honor over instinct. But mostly they whisper about what it means that a species engineered to be perfect killers could be taught to love, to protect, to sacrifice. And in quiet moments, in academies and war councils, in diplomatic chambers and frontier outposts, a new question echoes through the Empire. If humanity could teach a Vraken to transcend its nature, what else might they accomplish? Perhaps that's what makes them dangerous. Not their weapons or their worlds, but their unshakable belief that anyone, no matter how broken, how feared, how forsaken, can be family.